So Chile win the Copa America, and you wouldn't have caught that on English television, no, because America and the West have an ideological hatred of them, and so they like to keep them fucking quiet ever since Simon Bolivar chucked those Spanish conquistadors out of South America. But I sat there and I fucking thoroughly enjoyed it. Trevor Locke, my friend, is not so happy because he likes to think he's half Peruvian, and he went, no, Chile got chucked out. Chile had a player sent off illegally. It was for Peru, my favourite fucking country. Well, I'm sorry, Trevor Locke, Sanchez kicked your fucking Peruvian butts. So that was exciting. Sorry we didn't get a podcast last week, and by sorry I mean I couldn't give a fuck. I was very busy, and I thought, well, why try and sneak it in like 2 days ago, and then I'd have been late this week, and then there would have been like a chain reaction. I'm looking for a chain reaction. I got a sing. So what was exciting was, seeing as I had nothing to do ever, I had a look online at the list of unusual deaths, and I can assure you they were very, very unusual. There was one man who boiled a kettle until he died. Have a look at that. Have a look at that. My cousin said something rather nice. She contacted me via the social network phenomena, Facebook, and said, Are you touched? I can't remember exactly, but it was something like, are you touched by the effect your podcast has had on people? Which is an interesting thing for her to say. Let me read you some of the things people have said to me this week about my podcast. How's this one? Where's the podcast, twit? There's that one. We've got this one. I've been waiting 4 days now, you cunt. Where's this one? Seeing as you've made me listen to this shit already, when's the next shit? So really, I am touched at how this podcast has been taken. I think my favourite is, where's the podcast? Twit. Effortless, no count. So how are we going? Bubs? We're going, ole, 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 and we kind of lost it a little bit there.
It's because it's ole, 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 ole.
Are you Chilean? Do you know anyone from Chile?
No, but that's how it
Okay,
goes.
listen, I told you about Simon Bolivar now twice today. Tell me about Simon Bolivar. Don't look it up on your phone. Come on, come here. Right, listen. Hang on, I'm peeking a bit. Let me chop this down a bit. Okay, hang on. So I told my missus about Simon Bolivar earlier. She was sitting there listening, and then afterwards I said, so what do you make of that then? She went, what? And I went, about Simon Bolivar. She went, what, who? And I said, you didn't listen to any of it? She went, yeah, no, I did. And she's been listening to me say on the podcast, so let's have a go. Tell me who Simon Bolivar is.
I don't know.
You have no idea. Can you tell me?
Daydreaming.
Yeah, but you must have heard some of it. Come on. Imagine your life depended on it. Tell me about Simon Bolivar. Something.
Didn't he have a place?
Didn't he have a place?
Named after him, and he had statues of him, didn't he?
Simon Bolivar had a place named after him, and he had statues of him. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
Sit down and go away. So there you go. She's not wrong, but she's not quite right. Oh, I don't know.
But you're going to say it again anyway.
Do you know what? Oh, shut up, will you? Do you know what? I'm 43, and now, as of yesterday, I'm fat. Fat. I got through 43 years. I was born fat. Well, I was born actually jaundiced with all my veins up, covered in, as my mum likes to say, lard. So imagine it yellow. She goes, this is my mother. This is what she says to me to try and, make me feel love. She went, you were born covered in lard, you had bloodshot eyes, all your veins were up, you were an horrible little thing. What kind of thing is that? And I'm sort of sitting there going, thanks, Mum, I don't want to be rude, but you look like that now, but you've got in your horrible floral print caftan. What a horrible thing to say. But I was born fat, not fat, but chubby, with a lot of fat on me, because originally, of course, I'd have been dropped in the wild and abandoned, and I would have had to have made my own way, creeping along the forests of Dartford. But I had a little fat belly as a kid, but as I grew up I was very lithe and very athletic. I didn't do any athletics. Tell a lie, I did take part in the school sports day when I was 14, and I'd done the javelin. I didn't do the javelin, I played the javelin. It went bang, 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 javelin. I threw the javelin, and I won the javelin. Now, I was only in it because we had to be in it. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have volunteered for sports at 14. Ridiculous. And I won, but only because the other 4 contestants all done a foul throw 3 times. I threw about 6 metres. I was on Tipex. I was surprised I didn't just whip someone in the eye with a thing. But I did win that. But I wasn't live because of that. It was because I was underfed at home. My mum used to put down Heinz tomato soup, and then when I wasn't looking, she'd come over my shoulder with some silver top milk. Remember the different milks in the 70s? You had silver top, which had 1/2 inch of cow spunk at the top, and you had gold top, which had about 4 inches of cow spunk at the top. And if you poured it on your cornflakes, it just all went bleh, and sort of splat on your cornflakes. But yeah, when I weren't looking, she'd quickly put the pint of silver top over my shoulder and like pour it into my Heinz tomato soup. And so I lived on that. So obviously I was no fat for the next 10 years. Then when I became like a teenager, I had probably amphetamines and LSD and no eating for the next 15 years. So I've always been thin. And yesterday I became fat. That's it, simple as that. I put on a pair of nice trousers and they were all right. I thought, well, this is a bit tight. I'm having a bit of trouble in the waist here. But, you know, you breathe in, you delude yourself. I thought, no, I'm all right. I'll just walk around breathing in, which is fine because it's quite easy to walk around breathing in your lower abdomen. But when you sit down and you fire that button off like a bit of shrapnel, ping across the road, horrific. Every time I sit down now, I have to undo the top of my trousers and the first couple of buttons. Sexy for some, horrible for me, because every time you stand up you have to sort of hitch your trousers up and hang on a minute, love, and sort of do them up like fat old men do, like I've seen fat old men do. So now I'm that person. You can't do them up while you're sitting down, although you try, because you don't want to stand up and go, oh, hang on, love, oh, here we go, oh, just breathe in. So you try and do it sitting down, and like the waiter's looking at me, yeah, hello sir, they've got your change, and I'm like, hang on a minute, mate, just trying to squeeze these in. Oh, hang on, I best stand up. So I'm fat. So you know what I've done? I've fucking joined the gym. I've actually done it. Me and the missus. I used to belong to the gym. When I first got clean about 7 years ago, having nothing to do with my life, I joined the gym and immediately become body dysmorphic, and I trained and I trained and I trained and I hit the creatine, and I got fucking huge. Absolutely massive. My shirts didn't fit my biceps and my triceps. They wouldn't go round. I might have to have all my suits adjusted. And people were going, you might want to stop doing that. And I was like, no, you'll be all right, I'm huge. And loving all the adrenaline. Yeah. And then it took me to going to a gay NA meeting. And this bloke, James, lovely James, he's a bear. He's a hairy gay man. And he said to me, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, Christopher. That Muscle Mary look really doesn't suit you. And as soon as he called me a Muscle Mary, most of the creatine sweated out of me on the spot. But I calmed down, I fucked the gym off because I couldn't keep that sort of, like I say, that body dysmorphia. I didn't realise I was turning into a goon. Not a very good look for stand-up either, turning up in a suit that doesn't fit because you're too muscular. Can you... No, I know a comic who's still like that. No one says it to his face. I can't remember his name, but he's a muscular goon of a comedian. If we can briefly go back to cornflakes, I've got a nice one about that. Friend of mine, Paul Mumford, who I was at university with. I've talked about him before. Nice mate. He's disappearing into a midst. What's that? He's disappearing into a fog of depression at the moment. It happens. I ring him up and go, you alright? He goes, no, shit, actually. But he shared a room at art college with this Hare Krishna bloke, and he was eating his Kellogg's cornflakes, and this Hare Krishna bloke went, hey, you know what, man, you're better off buying it out of those weigh and save places, yeah, where they have like big baskets of cornflakes, and you just put the scoop in and like pour it in your bag. You're wasting your money, you're paying for the name, yeah. So my mate Paul, we went out and we went to one of these places, and he was like, actually, that's significantly different. And when you're a student and you want to spend all your money on alcohol and porn mags, you want to save money on your cornflakes, so you don't want to pay for the name, especially not Kellogg's. Look it up. He designed them to stop kids wanking. Weird, that little link, isn't it? I said, you want your money for porn and beer, and Mr. Kellogg tried to make a cereal to stop children wanking. I can assure you it didn't work. But anyway, he's put the shovel in, he's poured the cornflakes into his bag, and he's put them on. They've gone, oh yeah, that's like minus 50p, please, sir. Oh, thank you very much. We got home, he's poured them out, and immediately they're a bit anemic. Do you know what I mean? They're like, yes, they look like they've been out in the sun too long. It's like, these are a bit dodgy. Poured the milk on, put them in his mouth, and just went, and then spat them out. And this Hare Krishna went, hey man, what's wrong with him? Give him time, give him time. And Paul went, you know what? I'd have been better off cutting the cornflakes out of the Kellogg's box cover and pouring milk on them than eating these awful weigh and save budget flakes. So that's a little cornflakes number for you. And if you're listening to this in the morning, you will enjoy that, especially while you eat your Lidl cornflakes, because I like to think my listeners haven't got a pot to piss in, and you love that stacked on the floor warehouse style shopping of Lidl. Do you remember a few years ago people realised that you could run, there's some kind of cunts going on outside, I'd shout shut up out my window, but there's more than one of them, and now they're out of the way, I'll do it. Oi, shut up out there, you cunts, I'll come down and tear you up. A few years ago, it was discovered, certainly in Dartford, but you know how the zeitgeist works, probably all around the world, that you can power diesel cars on vegetable oil. I think you have to, I don't know anything about cars, I know this though, you had to mix them something like 4-to-1 vegetable oil and diesel, and people were going into Lidl and buying like 50 10-litre bottles of vegetable oil, just stashing them up in their garage. And there's a big crossing in Dartford called Princess Road, and when you were there at rush hour, when all the lights were red and there was too much traffic, it smelled like a chip shop. It was incredible, and people were getting nicked because the police were pulling up behind them and like, they're running their car on chip fat, pull them over. Don't know where I was going with any of that, but that brings me nicely to another time when I don't know where I'm going with it, and that is the gig that I had Saturday night. Thank you to everyone who came. It was excellent, I have to say. I'll tell you what, it was really nice to have so many people there. That's the big worry for me. I'm not scared of performing. It's a weird one when people say to me, they go, oh, I don't know how you can do stand-up, that's my worst fear. And when I first started doing it, I'll be like, well, yeah, I am very brave, aren't I? But it doesn't scare me. That's why I do it. That's why some people do things like they're accountants. If I was an accountant, I'd be fucking terrified. And so that's like me saying to an accountant, oh, I don't know how you do that. It would terrify me. And they don't go, yes, I'm very brave with numbers. They're at ease with numbers, and I'm at ease on stage. Sometimes put me on stage, I find that a lot easier than in a social situation. And here's a good example of that. The bloke that runs that gig at the Proud Archivist, his name is Hector Proud, and that's why it's called the Proud Archivist. It's like a restaurant, gallery, space, performance area, beautiful, down on the canal in Haggerston. And I thought, what an interesting man, and he let me perform at his gig a couple of times. So I mailed him on Twitter and I said, hey Hector, it would be lovely to meet you. And he rode his push bike into Soho, and we met at Bar Italia, and he sat down and we started chatting, and I've got a cup of tea there, and he went, do you want one? I went, well, no, I've got one. He went, no, a beer. And I was like, well, not really, it's 5 o'clock. And so he went and got himself a bottle of beer, and the next 2 hours was just us two talking at each other, very excitedly, lovely bloke, interesting bloke, while he continued to knock back these bottles of beer. And when it was time to leave, I said to him, you going to be alright on your bike? He went, oh yeah, 7 bottles of beer is not going to affect me. I was like, oh good. Nice one, Hector. But check him out, look him up, interesting bloke, doing a lot of interesting things around there. and dealing with some really restrictive kind of local government bullshit. We don't need local government. It's ridiculous. I know everyone's saying, "Oh no, well, that's who we should get behind and change the world," but no, they're bullshit. They're over-involved idiots. One of the funnier things with old Hector Proud was I wanted to talk to him about the comedy at his venue, because when Russell Brand done it, it was nice. It gave it a little bit of a kudos, a bit of gravitas. And then Trevor Locke done it, and then I had done it, and I thought, I like it. I like being in that company, and it helps. But then loads of shit people were getting involved, and I was thinking, hang on a minute, they're ruining the venue. And I thought I'd talk to Hector about that. As Trevor Locke said to me, he said, me and you are the lowest quality acts they should have there. Go below us and you're ruining. We're even on the fence, really. But so I wanted to talk to Hector about that. But of course, because we just got we really got on well, and we just talked about our pasts and our futures and our presents, and well, obviously it's going to be one of the three. But and it was really nice. I didn't get round to talking to him about comedy later that night, when I was a little bit worse for wear after taking a few Cambodian relaxation tablets. I thought, no, fuck it, I'll tell him. And I really should have learned, after so many decades of drug abuse, to stay away from communication media when in that state. But no, I don't, because part of the problem with any mind-altering substance is it alters your mind. And so any plans you made beforehand, they go to pot. They go to Xanax. So I've got on the computer and I'm like, "Oi, Hector!" I'll say it in that tone to exaggerate what I actually said. No, to give you a sense of intent. I went, "Oi, Hector! Lovely to meet you the other day. By the way, shitface, you're going to fuck that." I really did say it. "You're going to fuck that venue up. I'm telling you, it's going to spiral negatively into a crock of shit. You need to talk to me." And no one else. It was so embarrassing. And the next day, of course, well, a couple of days later, I had to go up there and do my gig. That was on Saturday. And I was so embarrassed. I went, "Oh man, I'm sorry about that email." And he went, "Yes, it was very strange." But what was really nice, the next night we went up there, me and the missus went up there to see Trevor Locke perform. And there was a massive queue for the bar, and Trevor's going, "Yeah, you got to come to me again. Come on, we're starting. And I thought, oh no, I've got to have a drink. And Hector come along and went, "Hey, how are you?" I went, "Well, we're just missing the start of Trevor's gig while we get a drink." He went, "No, run in there, I'll sort it out." It was well nice. The boss of the place come running in the venue with a gin and tonic and a vodka and coke. He went, "Here you go," with "No worries, Hector." It was very nice. I felt like some kind of mover and a shaker. Well, a shaker. I'm always shaking. I haven't sat still since I was 4. Let me have a look what else I've got here on my list of exciting things to talk to you about. We've done 43 and fat. I think I've probably got enough out of that. I've mentioned a few times about my fear of sharks, which obviously was the seeds were sowed with Spielberg's Jaws, and a classic shark film. If you've got a big rubbish shark, ignore it and play music. Made sense, worked a treat. The film that scared a whole generation out of the water. But what I've done is I've reinforced my fear. There's the weekly Millennium Falcon driving by. Hi, Han. That's Han Solo, not Hector Solo. It's easily confused. He looks quite silly. He looks a little bit like Harrison Ford, actually, but without the hair and looks, or Harrison Ford features. I have managed to reinforce my fear of sharks. When me and the missus were out in Samui, Thailand, a couple of years ago, I think, we were watching so many shark vids. I think I've seen, probably between us, together, we've watched probably every single shark documentary on YouTube. And you've got the pretty good sort of English ones where they tell you that, sharks actually are just being a bit inquisitive. Humans aren't their natural prey. They often confuse us for otters when we're on surfboards and things. And, they don't have hands. It's not like they can have a... Hang on. Seals, I've been corrected. They don't... Well... If they were to swim down a countryside river in England, they might confuse us for otters. Fuck me. Excuse the burp. Oh, I said burp, not bird. Never excuse my bird. They don't confuse us for otters, or the wind in the willows. Oh, mole, come on. So they think we're sea lions and seals because, well, not we as in me and you, because I assume if you're a podcast listener, you haven't been surfing in some time. I've never surfed. I've bodyboarded, but I found I got a lot of sand between my belly, which then wasn't fat, and the bodyboard, and after about 10 seconds, I was like, I'm going in sore belly. So, and sharks haven't got hands, they've got like little fins, and they can't sort of grab you with their fins and go, oh, what are you? So they sort of have a little nibble, and a little nibble off of like a 6 metre great white will take your fucking leg off. And so, in the English documentaries, well, to be fair, they mainly are the English ones. They're a little bit cleverer. You watch an American one, they don't give a shit about facts. They just want to recreate. They just want to fill the water up with claret, have some virgin blonde hair, a Norwegian girl with her boobs bouncing, going, oh no! And then some bloke going, this shark will eat you a fucking alive. They're all over the world. They're coming out of your drains. Mind yourself in the streets. They're gonna kill you. Sharks killing the world forever. And they're really annoying. And there's that one bloke's voice who just does them all. And you're well gutted. You put it on and think it's going to be informative and interesting. And you're going to learn a bit about sharks. And straight away he just goes, 17,000 teeth ready to sink into your girlfriend's tits on your holiday. Watch out for fucking sharks. Awful things. But when you're addicted to watching them after a lovely day in Samui every night, the pair of us, what should we do? It's 1 o'clock in the morning. We've had a pina colada. Let's watch another shark documentary. And of course, as with every day passing, another 10 shark documentaries into our brains, another metre nearer the coast, nearer the sand we were with our seaside holiday. Absolutely petrified. Out in Thailand once, I was on a boat in the middle of the sea, and the people I was with were like, oh, let's dive in the sea. And I thought, oh no, man, this is the bit where I get exposed as a man full of fear. And the funny thing was, the woman I was with, she went to the boat driver, is there any sharks in here? And he was like, no. And she went, well, you get in. Imagine. No, you get in, and if you don't get eaten, I like that. We can spare a Thai life, just, a bit of bait. So fair play to him, he just jumped in and stood in there going, yeah, I'm in the sea. Then he got out, so she dived in. I thought, this is pressure. The other girl just went, nah, fuck it. And I thought, I've got to do it. I wanted to overcome a fear. I could barely walk in at the beach. I'm fucking terrified. Really, turns out you can die with your own elbow suffocating your nose than a shark killing you. But it still could happen. So I just thought, I need to dive in. I've got to do it. So she dived in and she was like, quick, come and don't make me on my own. And I've dived in. I got it on video. And I dived in and fuck me, I got out of there rapid. I was shitting myself. I hated that thought that there could have been like 50, 100 metres of dark, cold water below me. And you couldn't see more than like 4 feet. Oh, you couldn't even see your feet. Fuck that. So I've bolted out of there and got out. And then a day later, when we were in the hotel up on the cliff, we looked down and I was going, look, that's where we went. And I shit you not, there was these like 6 metre shadows just sort of swimming under the surface. I swear to you, if it wasn't probably that I had a lovely cologne on, which is also shark repellent, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast today. Alright? So I don't know why I'm telling you about sharks. Oh yeah, no I can. Because then I've watched a couple of films about people that have been eaten by sharks, like feature films, movies. One of them's called The Reef, and is about some 4 people, and it's based on a true story. I know that based on a true story is cack. Mitch Hedberg does a great bit about it. What is it? Not the based one, when they say inspired by a true story. He says, I saw a thing about something like this. I saw a load of people drive a car into the lake, and it inspired me to write a film about gorillas. It's a bit like that. I mean, I know inspired by is a bit more tenuous than based on, but even based on, bearing in mind most of the people, if not all of them, got eaten, it's hard to say what actually happened. There was another one, I think, called Deep Blue Sea, maybe, or is that the one with LL Cool J? I can't remember. But there's one where there's 2 of them, based on a true story. Yeah, no, it's not the Deep. That's the sort of one that came off the back of Jaws. 2 of them went scuba diving with a load of other people. sort of veered off a little bit, and then the bloke who was doing the tally for when they all got back on the boat fucked it up. So the boat left, and when they've come up out of the water, they're just stuck with like scuba gear on, going, where is everyone? Oh, I suppose I better wait for them. And they wait, and they wait, and then they get nibbled by sharks, and then they get eaten by sharks, and it's all over. But based on a true story, the only thing you can say for sure that happened was they got left behind. Every part of the film after that, no idea. They might have got picked up by a helicopter. They might have got picked up by aliens. They could be the king and queen of Venus now, for all we know. And if they base the film on true events, well, they missed that out. Basically, the first 5 minutes of the film is based on true events. Everything after that is conjecture. But damn interesting conjecture. Made the film on $70,000. $70,000. It grossed about $50 million. Check it out. I can't remember what it's called. Something like The Divers Who Never Came Back, or something like that. But I'm sure you can find it. You have the internet technology. The other one was, again, I think based on a true story. They go out diving, they get in the boat tips over, and they're all sitting on the back of it, 6 of them. And he says, look, the best thing we can do is try and swim to that island, because this boat's going to sink. And one of them says, I'm not going in that water, I know what's in there. I'm not doing it. And the other bloke says to the others, look, he's going to die. It's our only chance. And it's about the 4 of them getting back to this bit of land, this island. And watch it. That one's called The Reef, I think. Watch that one. And fucking awful, man. Proper. It's the stuff of real stuff of bad nightmares. Because there's this whole kind of that weird sort of distinction between above and below the water, and yet your body is on that boundary, and so your senses, your sight and your hearing and your taste and your smell are above it. All you've got below is your sense of touch, and to have your senses sort of separated in that way, I think is very, very strange to us. It's a little bit like, why we have a fear of the dark, because again, your senses have been split up, and I don't think we do well with that as humans. We like to think we're a very visual culture, but actually I think our senses are used, kind of well. I think that's why we've survived. Darwin's survival of the fittest is not the survival of the fittest. I don't think he ever said that. It's actually the animal who's most able to adapt. And it would make sense, I'm guessing, that if you could use all your senses together and have not a dominant one, but where they work with each other, you've got more chance of surviving. But yeah, watch those films, man. It hasn't got me back in the water. I'm never going in the water again. I'm meant to be having a bath in a minute. It's not happening. I'll tell you what, watching that damn Copa America though, I've always wanted to go to Cuba, and I haven't sort of managed it. Central America, well, you didn't need telling. Well, if you did, you should look it up. Amazing place, Cuba. I think we're going to go down there. We're going to have like a linen suit on, and me and the missus are going to go, hey, no, and I'll be going, hey, we'll be dancing on the beach, ching ching. So I think we're going to Cuba. What a place! So the Bay of Pigs, communist revolution. What a weird place. Do you know about the Cuban Missile Crisis? Right, come here, you. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Sit on my lap. It's time for a little test. Now, I know that I have told you about the Cuban Missile Crisis at least 3 times, and we've watched a documentary on it. So will you tell the listeners what you know about the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Can you give me some clues?
No.
I can't remember.
Nothing.
I can't remember. I've got a bad memory.
Right, what about if I hint... I'll give you the clue. Cuban Missile Crisis. Any ideas?
What happened to Cuba?
What's the Cuban Missile Crisis? Go and sit down. So there you go. She doesn't listen, you see. I said to her tonight, if she was to listen to just 10% of what I told her, she'd be 10% as clever as me.
Do you know why sometimes I don't listen? It's because he repeats himself all the time about the same thing.
you didn't. Dear listeners, what you didn't see then was she dived. When I tried to get her up here for the Cuban Missile question, she was like, really slowly, but then suddenly she dived up here and nearly knocked the mic off, and he doesn't listen because he repeats himself. Yeah, and now you know why I repeat myself, because you don't fucking listen, girl.
No, it's don't remember that you told me, and then I don't remember what you said because half the time.
No one can hear what you're saying. No one can hear. She's ruined everything. Listen, well, the Cuban Missile Crisis, if you don't know, amazing time in history, because what happened was, of course, Che Guevara, Fidel Castro, Bay of Pigs invasion, communist revolution in Cuba, a little island just off of the United States of America. Imagine if it was in England, it would be like the Isle of Wight. So now they're communist, Cold War in full effect. So you know, you've got the Cold War. There's this big build-up of arms on both sides, the Soviet Union, communist, and the capitalist United States of America. They're building up weapons. No one's going to fucking shoot them at each other because it's like a Mexican standoff. No Mexicans involved. It was not the Mexican missile crisis. And this is going on. Suddenly, Cuba, just off the American coast, is communist. They take some photos from the air. It looks like there's missiles on Cuba. The USA suddenly realised, oh my fucking god, they can let off nuclear missiles from Cuba, bomb the fuck out of America, before America had time to take its cigar out of Monica Lewinsky's snatch and say, no, we've got to do something. That was the Cuban Missile Crisis, and apparently they nearly bombed the Soviet Union because of it. They didn't, though. They just spent the next 30 years having the Cuban cigar illegal in America as a symbol of American success. An amazing irony of American culture, but just one of many. Oh. Okay, so it's been a terrible rush this week, and well, that's all right. I think in many ways people like a rush. We all liked Ian Rush, and we all like Basil B. Rush too. So what I'm going to do, I've got a guest this week, and I'm going to let my guest take you out, because chances are you're listening to that Sunday, and I've got psychic super tarot bastard Gene Jungles to take you out. Gene, take over.
Wise up in sun comes down the door. Upon Saturn you may think your future. Thrine's mine, 2 camels may walk when Hitler bequested you. And take upon your life, 4 dots says no.
Let income tax be artifacts,
and all your good morrows stipulate a treacle and a toffee. When milk is running on floors of gold, let fortune be brave, those who favour the others. And before death's door upon thee you knock one day on morrow's morn, ask thyself if mother upon breast one morning in summer's did do. Father's penis dangled deep after bath, and future lies in children's eyes. Upon long wintry morn, let my feet in your beautiful river of love, once deep now shallow, let ankles be cool, and I will walk with thee, son of Jesus, holy Thrine. Upon Bang Bang said Mr. Chic, and take my fashionable robe home, and paint it with thine golden pellets. For from Bum Twinkle she said I wouldn't, and I said you must. And before all horizons, and one must say, I pray to thee, Bum's Buddha, let those swollen cows sing. And grass is beautiful, and grass is gay, and St. Swithin's swivel day, cloaked in breadcrumbs and covered in Horlicks, just like Nana's lips. Tell Grandaddy still smells of old cake. And cast thine boats onto my river of bliss. Ask Joyce Grenfell's piss-stained eyes, and say once and for all, upon this beautiful land of which no pride I have got, from England born and nothing, untimely ripped from the stars we all were, enjoy your week. I will see you later, much later.